Hey, Broadway people, we are back for another exciting round of some Broadway breakdown for you. We are going to be discussing The Humans today, so come and join along with us.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
On the 4th of July, 1800,
This is a traditional Irish song for our Irish play today. Hi, everybody. My name is Briana Phipps. I will be your host for tonight. You can find me everywhere at bphipps14, Twitter and Instagram, bphipps1214, Snapchat. I am joined here by my lovely, lovely host today.
123 Jackie B on all platforms, and my Snapchat is Jackie B123, just to make things difficult.
Yeah, you know, we like to be different sometimes. Like I said, we are discussing it's not an Irish play, but they are Irish in the play. We're discussing The Humans today. It was the most award-winning play from the Tony Awards.
Straight play.
Well, musical is what I will say.
Yeah. I don't know why, but we grew up, not that plays are particularly, I don't know. The term straight seems weird when you're an adult, but when I was a kid, it would be a straight play or a musical.
Makes sense. For the you that do not know this play very well or at all, it is basically a dysfunctional family getting together for Thanksgiving dinner at their daughter's new house with her boyfriend. We'll go into it a little more, but before we do, I want to talk to you about some Broadway news in our new segments that we have. And this news is going to be brought to us by Robert Diamond and BroadwayWorld.com. So first up in the platform is we have Kristin Chenoweth, Kevin McKidd, Christopher Seabird, and Jennifer Holliday leading. They did a private reading of The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Which, if you haven't heard the music or you haven't seen the movie, go look it up. Dolly Parton plays the role that Kristin Chenoweth did in this staged reading. And it's one of my all-time favorite movies. I think it's hilarious.
Although we did tell her about the Harold and Kumar reference, and she didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't watch Harold and Kumar.
And they did this on June 29th, and I know, Jackie, you said you were excited because you were hoping that this means that the revival is in the works.
Right. I hope that this means that there's a revival that involves Kristin Chenoweth and Jennifer Holliday.
Not the men, though.
Well, I mean, especially
you don't want the Scottish man to be part of it?
Well, Kevin McKidd, I had to look him up, and I was like, oh, he's one of those Mick Handsomes or whatever it is from...
He's not Mick anything on...
Oh, he's not?
No.
Okay, because he's on Grey's Anatomy.
He's on Grey's Anatomy.
But
there's only
not,
2 Micks, though.
Oh, there's only 2. See, this is the thing. I've only seen, 2 episodes of Grey's Anatomy, so I was like, okay, that doesn't really do it for me.
He's also in, I believe, How to Train Your Dragon. Anyway.
Which I have also not seen. So
hopefully that means that you get what your wish is.
I get a Broadway revival.
So let's move it along because we don't have a ton of time.
Anastasia
is being made. This has been known for a while, but they've added some people to the list. We have Christy
I'm so excited.
Yeah, they did actually. They did they've done a production in Hartford, Connecticut that was very popular.
Yeah.
So they're just...
And all these people that are coming back, they just announced that all these people, Christy Altamore, Derek Klena, John Bolton, and Carolyn O'Connor, they're all going to reprise their roles for
Broadway.
The Broadway show.
I'm really excited because that was one of my favorite kids movies in the 90s.
And I always get so annoyed though because people always consider it Disney, and I'm like, it's not Disney.
It's not Disney.
They didn't do it. Disney. No. I feel like it would have been a much different movie if Disney did it. Like, not to say a better movie, it was just different. There would have been less, I think, of the adult humor and less of the scary.
Yeah, I
stuff.
think probably. It's hard to say too, and it's hard to say why Disney didn't do that because they did Pocahontas in such a special way. I mean, I'm not to knock on Pocahontas,
you don't want disease and famine to hit in the cartoon?
Wildly historically inaccurate to the point where Pocahontas would have been a 14-year-old, and in this one she's got big boobs and looks like she's damn near 30. So I don't know. I think it is.
Well, anyway, if you want to check out this new show and you're in New York area, you're going to be in the New York area in April of next year. It opens April 24th, 2017. It will include songs from the original movie. It'll also have its own original score. And the tickets will go on sale in the fall, so keep a lookout for them. we also, next up is Hamilton has now officially been preserved with the original cast.
On film.
It is been filmed, yes. And it is the original cast. Jonathan Groff came back, which is what I was hoping for. So I'm really happy about that. And they did that on June 28th. So if you were at that show, that is the show that has been filmed and will be shown
hopefully
on the PBS
part of
special.
that, yeah, I was thinking hopefully part of it will be part of the PBS special.
No, I'm sure that's why they were doing it. And then also to possibly, maybe one day, hopefully put it up on the internet. And then...
Because it would be, I mean, as much as people might not like, I guess, filmed performances, they have sold filmed performances on, like, back in the day on VHS or whatever.
Cats
you know,
was one of the ones that I had growing up that was
I remember
the
Into
film.
the Woods.
Yes, and then it wasn't necessarily, it was a film performance, but Mary Martin and Peter Pan.
Mm-hmm.
And they also did a Peter Pan with I'm blanking on her name right now. The girl the gymnast. I can't think of her name right now.
I don't know. I watched the Mary Martin one, so that's
I watched
why
both, but I saw her in person, which is why it's making me mad that I can't remember.
Because
her name.
I know people always want to say, okay, well, we want to make a true movie, you know, where you're using like movie sets and.
I know, but I feel like it's better to watch when it's just actually the theater play.
I actually really enjoy it when it's a theater play.
Because then you're more.
Or even if they make it like a theater play, like Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. If you've never seen that movie with Donny Osmond, it's amazing. And by amazing, I mean there are fake sheep and fake Ishmaelites and all kinds of like very staging choices that have been made, which I find amazing.
It's Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, isn't it? Cheesy as is.
Yeah, it's cheesy as it is. And it's got Donny Osmond. What more could you want? Not that I'm comparing that to Hamilton in any way, shape, or form.
So we also have Tracy Thomas, Brandon Aronowitz, Betsy Wolfe, and more are going to be joining the new revival of Falsettos. This play also has Stephanie J. Block, Christian Borle, who I love, and Andrew Reynolds, who I also love. It's starring Andrew Reynolds and Christian Borle.
It'll go into previews in September, and I think it actually opens in the end of October.
Mm-hmm. It does, and Deke Sharon, who did Pitch Perfect and the new cartoon movie Sing Along or the Sing Off.
So it's a two.
Did the vocal?
What happened was I guess it was originally like 3 one-act plays, and they took the latter 2 and put them together to make falsettos.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped ahead to a couple. I'm sorry, guys. That was stupid of me.
Oh, I was talking about falsettos.
With the Deke Sharon. That's not for this one.
Oh, okay. I was talking about falsettos. Yeah. So it was originally a 3 one-acts, and then they're taking the latter 2, the last 2, and they put them together, and that's what made the musical Falsettos, and it's about the AIDS crisis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know too much about this musical. I haven't heard anything from it as of recent, but I'm excited that they're going to do this revival and with these people, because I'll probably listen to it now. And
I've listened to it, but I've never seen it, so it should be interesting.
So what I was saying before, which I got ahead of my notes.
In Transit was the other one.
Is In Transit, which is an a cappella musical, is coming to Broadway.
With the people,
this fall. That's what threw me off, was this
It's
fall.
the people from Pitch Perfect or someone from Pitch Perfect and...
Well, Deke Sharon, he's not in it. He just helped with the vocal arrangements, and he helped with Pitch Perfect and the sing-along. The new cartoon movie with the gorilla, I think, is that one.
I don't know about the cartoon, but I do know that.
Or the sing-off novel.
And then Kristen Anderson Lopez, who wrote Frozen.
And also it's going to be directed by Kathleen Marshall.
It's about 11 people on a subway, 11 New Yorkers on a subway, and their goings on. I like the idea of a cappella as a musical.
You're gonna have to have really, really strong singers, I feel like, to be able to just do it without any help. Mm-hmm. You know, because it's hard enough. I mean, I couldn't do it. To even have just one note and start off. I can
imagine though that it's not gonna. I mean, maybe I'm getting my words, but I can imagine where it would be not entirely a cappella, where they have to give notes here and there.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. So that's coming this fall as well, too.
Random extra note on my behalf. I saw this play last night, The Spitfire Grill. It's a musical. It's playing at the Palisades right now. Even if you're not local and you want to look up the music, I really liked the music, so I recommend checking it out.
So yeah, that is our news for the day. And like I said, that was brought to you by BroadwayWorld.com. You can go on their website, find more stories, or read more about these ones. So let's get right back into why we're here, which is The Humans. The Humans was the most awarded play of the season, which we both found a little surprising to us.
I thought it was going to be eclipsed.
We both thought it was going to be eclipsed, and we'll get more into that a little bit later.
And that's also having said, like, this is based on not having seen the plays, knowing the subject matter, but not having read those plays either. So it's like I'm still ordering from Amazon, even though it's like they're on back order for some of these plays. I'm still ordering them to read them, but I think you get more of a perspective once you've read it or watched it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you're just hearing news about it, and then when you've actually read the material yourself or seen it, which is harder for us on the West Coast, especially with plays.
Right.
They don't go touring as much as musicals do.
It won Best Play, it won Best Featured Actor, it won Best Featured Actress,
and Best Scenic Design.
And then it was nominated for Lighting and Best Direction.
And this play is by Stephen Karam.
Right.
Who's known for writing dark comedies, and this definitely is a dark comedy, because when you first are reading it, you think, at least I thought, this is very, just casual, everyday. Yeah, they have some issues. Yeah, there's like these jokes going on, but there's nothing that special until you get to the end, and then I'm like, oh, okay.
And I don't know, maybe reading it, also this play has like continuous action that's going on, so it's, if you don't know, it's a 2-part set. So you're in an apartment building in New York, a basement level apartment building, where they basically took 2 old apartments and made it a kind of a split level apartment. And so they have the bedroom and the bathroom and an entrance on the second level, and then the basement is like the kitchen and the table where they're eating Thanksgiving dinner. And so there's action that is written in the script as like split action.
Yeah.
So
they wanted your eyes to be able to wander to whichever room you kind of wanted to wander to, even if it's not where the dialogue is happening at the moment.
And sometimes the dialogue is happening like boom, boom, boom. You'll have some upstairs and some downstairs.
There's a lot of overlapping dialogue in this.
Right, which to me, I guess like when I was reading it, I was more paying attention to kind of like breaking down what's happening up here, what's happening down there. And it didn't seem funny, but I guess when I finally did watch some clips online, I was like, okay, like when you put in the physical, not physical comedy like Marx Brothers, but like physical comedy as far as like their facial expressions or the way they're saying certain things, it starts to give you more context as to how this can be funny. Whereas I was reading it and I was like, this is getting really bleak really fast.
And just to go on, we have a person chat roll that we did tweet out that this was going to be 1776 originally. We unfortunately had to push some things around. We really wanted to pay homage to the best or most Tony awarded play because we did the most Tony awarded musical, and I do apologize for that. We will be doing it eventually, just not at the moment. So back into the play. We have these themes that go in the play, and fear is the main one, and it's written in the script like that. They have all these different outlying fears. We have poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love of someone, old age, and death.
They also, another theme is, when you read the intro, it's the uncanny, which is, for us, like, uncanny seems like it would be, like, beyond normal or inexplicable, where you're like, he has an uncanny ability to memorize lines, but psychologically, uncanny has kind of a different context. Freud called it a strangely familiar and rather mysterious kind of feeling. Yeah. So and they have a blurb on it. If you read the script, they have a blurb in the entrance kind of explaining the notion of uncanny. And I thought it was like this, you're watching this and it does, as far as like Briana and I both said we felt like we could relate to this. And it's if you're a middle class American, I want to specify that it's like not going to be relatable on all kinds of levels, but if you're like a middle class American, I feel that it is like strangely relatable. I mean, I think
the family dynamic can be relatable to anyone, because even in the play, like there's hints, that her boyfriend Richard is more well off than they are and has been his whole life. he's a trust fund baby. And I just, they have the whole thing with the religion with the parents, and the daughters don't have the religion, which I think is so prominent in our culture today. I know in my family.
We have to say that we both come from Irish Catholic families.
We do.
So,
I was actually raised Protestant, though. My grandfather
really?
is Irish Catholic, though.
My mom's side of the family is Irish Catholic. So, as you can tell by my last name, my dad's side of the family is not. But my mom's side of the family is Irish Catholic. And so I think when you have someone like that in your family, which there are a lot of Irish Catholic people in America, it's just...
Especially on the East Coast.
Yeah, there are a lot of them. So I think that having it set in New York with an Irish Catholic family, you're going to get a lot of people who feel like I relate to that experience, and who have had the...
And you definitely, especially with the Irish Catholic families, religion is so important to them. So with our generation, I know it's... with my mom even and dad, it's weird for them that me and my sister don't really go to church. And I had to kind of explain it to her and stuff, but it is this whole thing of oh, well, you don't have religion, so I feel like I did something wrong, or you're not going to get everything that you need to get out of life because you don't have this thing that you need to have.
I feel, branching off of that, the idea, hi Elia, who joined us. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. But I do feel there's also in Irish Catholic families, and this is not just Catholic families in general, they have this sense of the totems that come with them, like the Mary statues or different religious medallions.
I feel like if we walk into her parents' house, with her mom being who she is, or their mom being who she is, she's that house that has all those little sayings from the Bible imprinted on little pieces of paper and framed and on the pillows.
Yep.
It's covered from head to toe. That's the feel you get from her mom.
Yeah. And you can relate, I guess people who come from those backgrounds can relate to that sense of guilt, and the sense of the parents well, if you put these little Mary tchotchkes up, they'll help you spiritually somehow, and you're oh gosh, okay.
And we both said, reading this playthrough, especially with these parts and stuff, it didn't seem that funny. But then when you watch, they have a couple clips that they had filmed on YouTube that it's not illegal clips, they're actual clips, but the deliverance of the lines, that's what brings the comedy. And
I think some of the situations, too, because, there's humor in the everyday, there's humor in the mundane, and you have this situation where, the bathroom doesn't seem to flush very well, and they're all mentioning, I stank up the bathroom, things that your family member would say and would be funny.
Yeah.
And there's this whole situation where the light bulb goes out, and it turns out that the parents have brought all these extra provisional
care packages.
Care package lights and things like that. And I'm
I thought the lighting was actually really interesting with reading it, because when they're having a really deep conversation, the two daughters, in the top part, the lights go out. Mm-hmm. And then all the lights are in the bottom. And then at the end of the play, there's a lot going on, and everyone's kind of, they don't know what to do, and there's all this stuff that's being brought to the light, and every light goes out. So I thought that was also, I don't know, I thought the way they used the lighting from reading it was very interesting and cool.
Yeah, I did think it was cool too. I thought the idea of continuous action on the set was cool as well. I always love it when, this is a 90-minute play where the actors are doing continuous work. They're if they're off stage, it's because they quote unquote went to the hallway to go downstage. So literally those actors they never stop working. Mm-hmm. So what's fascinating to me is this is a real challenge as an actor. Is you have to be continually on. There's no you
don't get a break.
You don't get a break. There's no moment of okay, this person gets to go off in the wings and chill.
Yeah, let's talk about the actors a little bit, because we haven't really introduced the characters yet.
I think thematically, though, I just want to say this, thematically having the actors not have a break, you kind of feel it's a symbol for the middle class not having a break. Of they're, you have these parents who are should probably be retired by now, but are still working because they don't have any savings, which is a very real problem that the current political candidates are trying to address. So I feel having it as continuous action, you get that feeling that it's the actors are doing that hard work that the middle class Americans are doing their whole lives.
Yeah.
Just
And
a
let's
comment. Just a thought.
So this play is, for those who don't know it that well, is broken down by 5 characters. We have Aimee and Brigid, who are the 2 daughters. We have Erik and Deirdre, or 6 characters. Erik and Deirdre, who are the parents. We have Momo, who's their grandmother.
She's Erik's mom.
Who has Alzheimer's and is in very, very bad condition. And then we also have Brigid's boyfriend, Richard, who she's moving in with. And this is where all the religious stuff comes in, is basically with Brigid and Richard are living in sin because they're not married, and they're living together, and they've moved into this place.
And he is he's think 30, at least 10 years older than she is.
38.
Yeah,
It doesn't really tell you what age she is. We just know she's graduated from college, so we can assume she's in her 20s.
Right. It seems like he's about 10 years older.
Yeah, I mean, they make constant jokes about the age difference, about how he's closer to or could be closer to her parents' age, because they're 61.
And they say that he's going to get his trust fund at 40, and he's been going back to school for social work, I think it was, social work. And
yeah, he wants to be a social worker.
He wants to be a social worker. And then she seems to be struggling. She went to some music conservatory school, and she seems to be struggling with the job in that respect. And I thought Stephen Karam said this was semi-autobiographical, as I think most writers do that. You know, if you're drawing from something, you got to draw a little bit from your own experience, even if you're not setting them in the exact place you grew up, which this family is from Pennsylvania, so is he. I think you still have to draw the emotions from somewhere, and so it seems to me like he's making he's got this comparison to his own life, where you have people who are struggling artists, come from middle class families, trying to make it in the big city, which I felt like that was something I could relate to, where your parents come and they're like, you moved out here for this, like you live in this like shitty apartment now, and I can hear the people stomping upstairs. And
I could relate to, and not necessarily even my parents, but like living in a place where you're trying to almost convince yourself, because that's what I feel like Bridget and Richard are doing. They're trying to convince themselves, like, oh no, this is a great place. Look at all the space we have. So you're trying to convince yourself, and then people come in from the outside and are pointing out what's bad, and you're like, just stop. It's hard enough that I'm living here. Just please let me be delusional about it.
Exactly. And and it's like she's also saying, kind of implies that they could have helped her out, you know. It's this sense that your parents are criticizing you, but you're like, but you didn't help me, so what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, and
they are not in a position to help her.
She's really tough on her mom, though. Like, to a point where it's like her older sister, who you think would be the one the parents would be more on because she's a lesbian, and if the religious thing is a factor in that, then they should be against her entire lifestyle. But they're more hard on Brigid, and it's constantly, I feel like, Aimee's job to go back and forth.
Well, the older daughter is a lawyer, so I think there's an implication there that, like, if you're a lawyer, which, like, if you're in the middle class, having a doctor or a lawyer in the family is like a big deal. So it's like, well, she's a lawyer. It doesn't matter what she is. She's a lawyer. You know, I feel like that's the implication. And also, Stephen Karam is gay, so I don't know.
So is Joe Mantello, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, and he directed this play.
Yeah, that I don't know for sure, but at least, there's this implication that there's probably some other, like, autobiographical thing going on with that as well.
I just love that every character had something that they were dealing with. Like, Aimee had the fact that she has this, what is it called? The colon.
It sounded like she has.
It was something,
like some sort of something akin to Crohn's disease, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was called exactly. But from the way she described it, it sounded like it was something akin to Crohn's disease. And
this disease is basically ruining her life. Like she's lost a relationship because of it. She's losing her job because of it. And so she's gonna have surgery where she'll eventually poop out of her stomach. We have Erik, who...
And we're laughing, but it's like that's part of the humor that comes into it, because I think, like, there are... I can think of many times in my own family where people say, like, you know, something that's really morbidly true, but it's, like, still funny.
Oh, yeah, when my grandpa had surgery in his colonoscopy bag, like, he would just be like, oh, yeah, and this is where my poop is. And I'm like, thanks, Grandpa. That's lovely. Can you cover that back up with the blanket now?
Right.
But we also have Erik, and he's dealing with, we know all throughout the play that there's something happening because there's constant little conversations that you're not hearing, or you're hearing little parts of between him and Deirdre, and he hasn't been sleeping, and he's being visited by this faceless woman in his dreams, and then we have Deirdre.
And he's having trauma from being in him and Alice, the older daughter.
Aimee.
Him and Aimee. I'm sorry, I didn't write that down in my script. Erik and Aimee were in New York on September 11th, and she was there for a job interview. So I think like the implication is part of this nightmare is coming from a September 11th nightmare where people were covered in dust and
yeah. And then we have Deirdre, who is dealing with. I don't want to give too much away in case people want to see it, but I don't know if we should give away really.
I don't want to give away too much because I hope people will watch this and will be encouraged to read it or see it. And I don't want to give too much away either. Like, I feel like this is one of those things where probably everybody hasn't seen it, and I would really love for people to figure it out.
So I will say that she is dealing with something with her husband. I mean, that's obvious, like I said, throughout the play. And she's going to Weight Watchers, so she's been dealing with her weight, and it's brought up. She's trying, but she slips. She's human, like the play says.
Yeah.
And people just are making fun of her, like, oh, well, you bought those blueberry donuts. Oh, well, you know which one she wants. And
I don't know if this is true of all families, but at least in my family, shout out to my mom, who gets picked on a lot in my family. Not for weight, like, but my mom does stuff and we all just pick on her, even though, like, if any one of us did those things, we wouldn't get picked on as much. I don't know what it is, if it's, like, something to do with the fact that, like, she has such a good nature about it, or, moms are an easy target. I don't know. Like, I don't know what that is.
I feel like in my family, it's everyone gets a little bit picked on, but I feel like I'm kind of a little bit more so. Because I'm a little, I'm a little bit dumb. I say things before I think about it, and then I realize I said it wrong. As you guys will come to notice, I'm sure, if you haven't already.
But let us know if you think, let us know who is that one person in your family that you feel like people probably pick on the most. And not in a mean way. Like, I feel like part of it is loving, because part of it, they are worried about her health. And then part of it is like her good-natured reaction to it, that she seems to be laughing in on the joke.
Yeah, but you can tell that also
that it hurts her too.
Because she knows she cheats on her diet. She knows she's not doing what she can do to lose the weight. But
it's funny because you have some instances where, like, almost like one of the daughters might get picked on or something, and they lash right back. They're like, nah, So
which would not, like, it would happen in my family, but if it did, like, especially around, like, my dad or, like, someone of the high up standards, like, we would get shot down right away, like, oh, you're saying that about your mother? Like, if we were being mean like they were being in this play towards their mother, like, it would not happen. It would not fly.
Yeah, let us know if you, like, if in your family dynamic, if you're the one who's picked on, or if you think if you think this is just, like, ridiculous and no one would be picked on whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, some families, maybe that is what happens. I don't know.
I mean, I just felt this was relatable to a lot of people, because these people, they have a lot of things wrong with them. Everybody's family has something going on. The grandmother is, like, very, very ill. She's got Alzheimer's. She's muttering nonsense, and she has episodes. The parents, the dad lost his job. The mom is saying how she had this job for many, many years, and, like, younger kids are coming in and getting, like, a better position.
Well, they're her bosses.
Yeah. And I feel like all of this is very, like, it's very relatable to multiple generations and what we're struggling with in America today, which is kind of this, like, dwindling of the prosperity of the middle class.
Well, and this is why I think it did win the Tony Awards, is because it is so relatable, because it has this dialogue that everyone can understand and have a connection with. And, like I said, it's this play where, like, all throughout it just seems kind of like this normal family dynamic, and then at the end it's just like a wave hits your house and it's chaos. So, I mean, I haven't read the other plays, but I would see this play based off of reading it, and I wouldn't have before based off of just the short little description of it's a family eating Thanksgiving dinner together.
And I like, you know what else I like about this play is that the play is not August Osage County. You know, it's not like the family descends into chaos and they're like yelling and beating the crap out of each other, like, or slapping each other, not beating the crap out of each other, but like you're not like, oh my gosh, like shit just got real. Like, shit is getting real throughout the whole play, but it's a very real kind of real. And I know that sounds kind of like redundant, but when you're watching it, you feel more, I think, like it could be your family, because there's no episode in there where there's like a heightened reality or something that people couldn't like insert themselves into. There's no like,
and at the end of it, everyone still is trying to love each other.
Yeah.
And they still are trying to see the best in each other, even though this chaos has ensued.
Right. And it's not, and I mean, when we say chaos, I don't want to imply that there's some sort of like slapping or even like yelling or like,
yeah, it's just we just don't want to give away the ending. So
yeah,
we're
I don't want to give away
it.
the ending, but at the same time, it's like it feels too close to home. And
some parts of it, yeah.
And I think that's why I do think that's why this play won the Tony. Although I still want to read the other plays, because sometimes as a viewer, I think we do need to see plays like that hit close to home as viewers to kind of learn about ourselves and our society. But sometimes you're just like, man, this is so close to home. I wish I could spend like an hour somewhere else. And I think for me, like by the end, I'm sure people have that feeling where they're like, wow, this is so close to home, and like,
or they like immediately have to pick up a phone and call someone, like their daughter or son or parents, and be like, I love you, by the way.
It also got nominated for a Pulitzer. I feel like we should say something.
Yeah, and so did his other play.
Yes, The Sons of the Prophet. He is Lebanese American, or one side of his family is Lebanese American, one side is Irish American. So The Sons of the Prophet is a Lebanese American family story, and then this one's Irish American. And I think it's interesting that the two that were most heavily autobiographical were nominated for a Pulitzer Prize, which I think drawing on...
And he's very young. Look, I mean, at least looking wise. I don't actually know. I didn't look up his actual age, but from the photos I saw of him, he's very young looking. So to have accomplished this much, even if he is even in his 30s or even early 40s, is a lot.
Right. And I think, I think that when you draw on your own experiences, people come to see that kind of truth and they appreciate it.
So I don't know, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about before we end this up?
Not really, no. But you should come check out our next show, which is about Xanadu.
Yeah, guys, next week we'll be discussing the movie musical Xanadu. Jacque, unfortunately, will not be here with us next week, I believe.
No, I won't.
She's out of town, but she'll be with us in spirit. She'll be dancing with her headband
James
on.
Lott Jr. will be here. He's fabulous. So.
And maybe some others. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But like we said, you can buy The Human Script. It's available on Amazon, Nook, Barnes & Noble, pretty much probably almost any bookstore that you go to. I couldn't find one on Kindle for it, but it is on Nook. So if you have one of those, you can get it there. It's like $11. It's really cheap.
Scripts are fairly cheap.
So it's a fun script to read. It's relatable, and it might make you want to just go to New York and see the play. Is it still on? Actually,
I don't actually know.
I don't actually know, guys,
running.
if it's still running. But if it's not still running, if it does anything, or if you see it come to a local theater, I think it's worth going to see.
I could definitely see because of the kind of like everyday personness going on in this play. I could definitely see it being big in a couple years in like community theaters where a big hit in community theaters if they can get the rights to it.
Yeah, so if it comes to your town, I definitely would go check it out. You know, it's worth the ticket fee, I think, which probably, especially for community theater, would be very low. And it's definitely worth reading.
And let us know if you're interested in other plays to hear us talk about. Tweet at us, message us in the comments, let us know.
Yeah, because it's definitely going to be very much easier for us to talk about musicals and stuff. Like, those are, I think, easier to pop up and easier to just, like, think about. So we love reading plays. So if you know of one that maybe we haven't heard of even, let us know, because we would love to read it. Maybe it'll appear on our show. So, like I said, we will be back next week. I'll be here discussing Xanadu. I'll have some special guests with us. James Lott Jr. will be one of them, if not the only one. And you can always find me, bphipps14, on Twitter and Instagram, bphipps1214 Snapchat. And Jacque, where can they find you?
I'm 123JacqueB, Twitter, Instagram. My website's 123JacqueB.com. And then Snapchat, I'm JacqueB123, just to be difficult.
All right, guys, come join us next week, or we'll be talking, as we said again, Xanadu. And come join us every Sunday. And have a good rest of your week. Happy 4th of July.
Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.